Remember when Junior Dos Santos burst onto the scene all those years back? It was 11 years ago that JDS entered the octagon for the first time to take on the Brazilian heavyweight Fabricio Verdum. At the time, Dos Santos was relatively unknown to the MMA fan base, and he made his UFC debut taking out one of the biggest names in the heavyweight division. What resulted was probably one of the most impressive debuts we've ever seen. Dos Santos went in there and absolutely ravaged Verdum with a barrage of violent punching combinations and capping things off with a nasty uppercut that slumped Verdum to the canvas just 1 minute and 20 seconds after the contest began. That performance left a lasting impact on the fan base. I remember thinking at the time that he was the most intimidating fighter I have ever seen. The 4 fights that followed his debut only reinforced my thoughts on the man, rattling off 4 more straight wins against top flight competition and winning by KO/TKO in all of them in impressive fashion. Back then, JDS had this mystique around him. He didn't speak a word of English, and he set the tone of the destruction of all of his fights by stepping into the middle of the octagon during Buffer's announcements and pointing in the direction of where his opponents were more than likely to end up. The fact that the vast majority of the time it ended swiftly and fiercely set JDS up to compete under the brightest lights on the biggest stages the promotion had to offer, culminating at the UFC's debut on Fox in 2011 when he shocked us all by uncorking a sharp overhand right that nailed heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez right in the temple, sending him to the canvas and claiming that UFC heavyweight gold in probably one of the most memorable upsets in the division's history. It was 8 years ago now that JDS was in his prime, and that prime held steady for years afterwards. He took his losses, and he took part in one of the most iconic trilogies in MMA, and he most certainly took his fair share of damage throughout it all. He is 6-4 in his last 10 fights, has never lost twice in a row, and he's an absolute killer still, but I think it would be fair to say that the prime JDS is in the past. So it'll be interesting when he runs into a man who I think is currently the most intimidating fighter in the UFC, in Francis Ngannou. What can you even say about Ngannou? The lunacy that we've been subjected to since his entry into the promotion is off the charts. We've seen scary power out of certain fighters over the years, but not in the same way Ngannou has it. Every single person we've seen stand with Ngannou, with the exception of the forgettable Derek Lewis debacle, ends up going down, and going down hard. It's really been a sight to behold. It's the kind of power that makes you concerned for the fighter's safety. If you've ever seen the footage of the aftermath of the Overeem knockout, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's downright hard to watch, but gripping at the exact same time. And though Junior Dos Santos has a black belt in jiu-jitsu, he isn't known to look to engage in a grappling affair. If history is any indication, this Saturday night when the Octagon touches down in Minneapolis, Minnesota, we're in for a true firefight. Of course, as we've learned by now, these contests that have a lot of hype around them based off the style of fighters doesn't always meet expectations. We've been both let down and pleasantly surprised by the outcomes of fights in the past, but I just get the feeling that this one's gonna deliver. While JDS isn't in his prime, that doesn't mean he can't get back into title contention and beat some of the best this promotion has to offer. Anybody who's been paying attention to the heavyweight division over the years knows that fighters are just more likely to have longevity in the heavyweight division, and in a lot of cases, don't hit their prime until a little later in life. I haven't given up on JDS, but if he has intentions on going in there to stand up with Ngannou, I'm just not sure how much I like his chances in this one. While he still possesses big power and beautiful combinations, it's the lower output of combos I've seen out of him over the years that concerns me against Ngannou. He does have that big one-punch power, but most of his success in the past has come with beautifully timed and fast combos that first stun his opponent and then signal the beginning to the end. Ngannou doesn't have the technical boxing skill of JDS, but the impossible amount of power he possesses makes up for it. There's also the fact that JDS is known to absorb damage in order to dish it out, and I don't think any human being on this planet can take a punch from a fresh out of the gate Francis Ngannou. I feel like this one's gonna end quickly. More than likely in the first round, and with Dos Santos hitting the canvas and taking the L. I don't usually come here and give out predictions, it's just a feeling I've got on this one. But who the hell knows? You've always got to be ready to be taken by surprise and shocked when you follow this crazy game. I've got no idea what's going to happen, but we're sure as hell going to find out.